It's the first day of September. Good morning and welcome to the morning news here on TV3 with me, Godwin Asidiba. Coming up this morning. In the bulletin, former Director of Operations of Ghana Police Service, George Alex Mensah, says tape of a conversation with former Northern Regional NPP Chairman Chief Bugri Nabu is doctored. Minority in Parliament calls for prosecution of Bank of Ghana governor over allegations of mismanagement. Office of Special Prosecutor says it disagrees with ruling ordering it to return seized property of former Sanitation Minister Cecilia Abena-Dapaah within 7 days. An unfortunate development on the international front, 12 children among more than 70 people killed after fire outbreak in South Africa's city of Johannesburg. We have details of these and more stories coming your way shortly. You can find us on DSTV channel 279. We are also streaming across the world on Facebook at TV3 Ghana. You can join us with your thoughts and comments. We begin the bulletin from here. The Office of the Special Prosecutor says it disagrees with an Accra High Court ruling on the seizure and freeze of Cecilia Abena-Dapaah assets and money. According to the OSP, it froze the assets of the former Sanitation Minister based on reasonable suspicion that her amounts and bank balances were tainted property and not a decision taken out of public sentiments. It adds that the court's computation of time and erroneous because it was still searching the residences of Cecilia Abena-Dapaah as of the time it failed the application for the freeze of her assets and money. The special prosecutor, in a statement, said the freezing order was meant to aid the ongoing investigation into suspected corruption and corruption-related offences involving Madame Dapaah. Meanwhile, it says necessary steps would be taken to ensure the seized amounts and balances in Cecilia Dapaah's bank accounts are neither concealed, lost, nor dissipated. An Accra High Court has dismissed the application for asset seizure and bank account freezing of former Sanitation Minister Cecilia Abena-Dapaah by the Office of the Special Prosecutor. Justice Edward Chum had ordered the Office of the Special Prosecutor to return the recovered funds to Cecilia Dapaah.
In his ruling, Justice Chum held that the Office of the Special Prosecutor breached the Special Prosecutor Act 2017 Act 959 when he filed the application to confirm the seizure of assets and freeze of accounts after 14 days. The court also noted that the OSP was in doubt of the true ownership of the alleged tainted property found in Cecilia Dapaah's house and hence failed to convince the court that the alleged tainted properties were used in connection with corruption-related activities. The presiding judge questioned the special prosecutor on how he arrived at the conclusion that the said properties had been tainted. He described the application as premature, one born out of reaction to public sentiments and without justifiable legal basis. The court therefore ordered the OSP to return the confiscated $590,000 and 2.73 million cedis to the former minister within 7 days. On the freeze of Cecilia Dapaah's bank accounts, the court ruled that the special prosecutor was unable to provide proof that the former minister used the accounts to propagate criminal offences. Lloyd Dwasari, TV3 News, Accra.
Private legal practitioner Martin Pebu has expressed shock and disappointment at the ruling of the Accra High Court dismissing the application to confirm the seizure and freeze of bank accounts of Cecilia Abena-Dapaah. Reacting to the ruling, he noted that he expects the special prosecutor to appeal the decision.
The one on the seizure, I expected OSP That's the 590,000 and the 2.7 million that was found in Madame Dafar's house, where it said that I expected the judge to be able to scale the procedural lapses of the OSP and to confirm that seizure so that those assets will remain seized whilst investigations go on. And then, as for the freezing of the accounts, yeah, the judge is spot on. The OSP didn't expect to get the order when the details of the account had not been provided, how much was involved. So I was hoping, sometimes judges will be sympathetic to the prosecution. I knew that, okay, even if Mr. Ejabin's lawyers in court had mentioned the figures involved, then he would say, look, I'm adjourning this case so that you file a supplementary affidavit to annex the statements. He's making the whole thing look like, yes, it's true that this thing is a staged thing. I mean, it's basic, it's elementary. You want a court to freeze an account and you are hiding the bank statement, the information you got. How? I've been supporting him 150%, but this thing is beginning to shake my confidence in his work. You shouldn't do that, and we will believe those conspiracy theories that this thing is just a staged thing. How can you go to court without the evidence?
Away from that, spokesperson of the election committee of the New Patriotic Party, Alexander Afenyo-Markin, has said the party will no longer organize a runoff election on Saturday, September 2. This follows the decision by flag-bearer aspirant Boakye Agyarko to withdraw from the race, citing a breach of party rules by the National Executive Council.
COP George Alex Mensah indicated that even though he could recognize parts of his voice on the leaked tape, the tape had been doctored and parts of the tape played.
Okay, so the committee met today and we received a letter from Honorable Boakye Agyarko. Same was referred to the party leadership and a response has been issued. Basically, the party has responded to the concerns raised by Boakye Agyarko, and the response is basically that the National Council of the party acted within the confines of the Constitution and that there's no cause for alarm. He having withdrawn from the race, I think that the Saturday elections now is placed on ice. It becomes otious. There's no need for any elections because now we have 5.
The 7-member bipartisan committee probing the leaked audio tape of alleged plot to oust the IGP continues sitting today. Earlier on Thursday, the former Director General of Police Operations, COP George Alex Mensah, had disagreed with the content of the tape, insisting that the conversation he had with Chief Bugri Nabu was doctored. The content of the tape was authenticated by the first witness, Bugri Nabu, on Monday.
COP George Alex Mensah indicated that even though he could recognize parts of his voice on the leaked tape, the tape had been doctored and parts of the tape played were edited.
Mr. Chair, what I admit as correct is that I had a meeting with Mr. Bugri Nabu, but we didn't have any plan to remove the IGP because I don't remove IGP and I don't appoint IGP. The audio that I listened here today is edited version of the conversations that we had. And because of that, wholly, this audio that we listened is not genuine.
He also told the committee that on authority, he was unhappy, and many senior police officers are unhappy with the way the current IGP, Dr. George Akuffo Dampare, is leading the police service, and he put it on record that he's not managing the police service well.
I will not deny that fact today, tomorrow, or the next day. I will make that statement again, that the current Inspector General of Police is not managing the police service well. It's something I will not run away from. I will say it everywhere, anywhere that I go. And you can do your own investigations, call police officers underground, and find out from them.
Duke Mensa Opoku, TV3 News, Parliament House, Accra.
Meanwhile, a security consultant, Dr. Ishmael Norman, claims that the conspiracy on the audio tape to remove Inspector General of Police George Akuffo Dampare that was leaked is on the verge of mutiny. One of the witnesses on the case has been speaking on the audio tape, which is COP George Alex Mensah, who has testified before the 7-member committee looking into the audio tape that the IGP is improperly managing the service.
Very, very dangerous, because you see, our party politics is a bit becoming too bastardized, with a lot of fringe forces that are trying to influence the democratic process. We are not mature enough. Many of our people cannot even read and write. They cannot read policies or manifestos. So when you have these kinds of elements involved, they distort the reality for a lot of people. And I think that we need to be very careful about this. I blame the politicians. It is not good for a session of police or army to mutiny. This is very close to preparation to mutiny. There's too much evidence to show that if they had their way, IGP will no longer be the IGP. I don't think it's a correct thing. The man has been appointed, whether you like it or not, just accept it, work with him. If you cannot work with him, take a hike, leave, go do something else, especially when he himself said he was preparing to leave the force. Don't stay. You're a lawyer. You can practice law, So I don't like it when people get to a certain level of their expertise and then they begin to intimidate people around them. This is not good. It's not a good development at all for Ghana Police, and they need to do self-examination to make sure this doesn't happen again.
Away from issues regarding the IGP, President Akufo-Addo has sworn in a 5-member emoluments committee to determine the emoluments and privileges of Article 71 office holder. The committee is chaired by Dr. Janet Fofie, a former chairperson of the Public Services Commission.
I think it may be worth our while to examine the practice of other jurisdictions, for example, the American one, where the principles are established and automatically adjusted according to certain objective criteria. This may well be an issue for further constitutional debate and decision. I must indicate that in recent times, a lot of public discourse surrounding the remuneration of public officers has centered primarily on those of Article 71 office holders. And whether or not, notwithstanding the constitutional imperatives, we are deserving of what is being paid to us in view of the challenges currently confronting our national economy. It might well be that your work should also focus on these concerns and make recommendations on how they should be addressed. The task ahead of you is a challenging one, and it is my expectation and hope that you'll be up to it and deliver your report expeditiously. You have my full support to undertake this assignment, and I assure you of government's assistance if needed throughout the period of your work. I wish you God's guidance and the best of luck.
Still on the emoluments, Labour consultant Austin Gami says the time is now to settle the debate over emoluments for Article 71 office holders. He believes that the new committee will take a hint from all of the talks and take the bull by the horns.
Well, the issue is that the public's concern is now loud and clear, as alluded to by His Excellency the President himself as well. The reality is that we have, over the years, since 1996, thereabouts, I think we have gained tremendous experience as to what the issues, the concerns of the public, who the paymasters of these people are all about. Since it's not government who directly pays, and it's the people who pay, I think it's only appropriate that we listen to them and take pragmatic steps to do the necessary reforms. And it's about time it should be done. Like you hinted in your intro, the former president stated that should he get the opportunity, he will do something about it. The president in inaugurating the committee says that they should do something about it. So it's time and we have to do it, and it's now.
The minority in Parliament is advocating for the prosecution of Bank of Ghana Governor Dr. Ernest Addison, citing concerns over alleged mismanagement. Thus, NDC members of Parliament are demanding accountability and transparency in the country's financial leadership. My colleague Noble Crosby Annan was at their forum and comes through with this report.
Determined to continue the Occupy BOG protest on September 5 to pressure the Bank of Ghana governor, Dr. Ernest Addison, and his deputies to resign amid allegations of mismanagement. Despite concerns about public safety by the police, the minority remains steadfast in its course. Addressing a public forum on the theme, The Collapse of Bank of Ghana, a reflection of failed leadership, organized by Arise Ghana, Boko Central MP and Deputy Ranking Member of the Constitutional, Legal and Parliamentary Affairs Committee, Mahama Yariga, emphasized that resignations alone are not enough to address the collapse of the Bank of Ghana.
Any person who contravenes a provision of the Act has committed an offense, and upon summary conviction, the person is to suffer not less than 500 penalty units or no more than 2 years imprisonment. I demand that the Office of Special Prosecutor should look into the procurement issue.
Dr. Kaisla Tuforsing alleged that the Bank of Ghana mismanagement worsens extreme poverty, emphasizing urgency for change.
All of us should be worried because ultimately the Ghanaian taxpayer would be required to recapitalize the Bank of Ghana. Their reckless mismanagement of the central bank also resulted in a loss of 60.8 billion Ghana cedis, causing a negative equity of 55.1. We, the minority in Parliament, do not believe that those who caused the mess at the Bank of Ghana, Addison the printer and his 2 deputy printers, are capable of fixing this mess that they created themselves.
Political commentator Kwesi Pratt Jr. raised concerns about the purported independence of the Bank of Ghana, calling into question its autonomy.
This nonsense, absolute nonsense, of the independence of the Bank of Ghana and its governor and so on must be thrown into the waste paper basket, must be thrown into the dustbin.
While the police is seeking an injunction to prevent the protest, the minority remains optimistic that the legal efforts to halt their demonstration will be unsuccessful. Noble Crosby Annan, TV3 News, Accra.
Countries sharing boundaries with the sea boast of a vibrant blue economy, but dwindling fish stock is having negative effect on both local and national economies. A lecturer at the Department of Marine and Fisheries Sciences at the University of Ghana, Dr. Eden Mahu, agrees an effective close season here in Ghana should coincide with that of other ECOWAS countries.
Considering the fact that fish are transboundary resources, they are very mobile. They move from one region to the other. And so that is number one. So if you are closing the fishery in Ghana, it doesn't mean that you are locking the sea or something only in Ghana. They will be able to move to other parts of the region or within the Gulf of Guinea. And so if we are doing this in solo, we might not be able to get effective the impact that we ought to create, because we are just looking at one country. So we need to really expand this to other countries. We need to expand this to the neighboring countries and make sure that we are doing this together. That way the impact will even be bigger and better. So it just means that we need to talk more with our neighbors. We need to work together, and that can be done.
Let's do some international news now. More than 70 people have died and more than 50 injured after a fire in South Africa's city of Johannesburg burnt a lot of people. The 5-story Delicate building in the city center was used by homeless migrants from neighboring countries. The fire gutted the building in the early hours of Thursday morning. Officials said bodies were piled up at a locked gate that had prevented them from fleeing the burning building. Witnesses said some people have thrown themselves out of windows. The illegal occupation of these used buildings is common in Johannesburg. More than 80 shacks had been set up ablaze. We bring the bulletin to an end this morning. My name is Godwin Asidiba, but the show continues with Bella Mundi and Roland Walker. Good morning.
Good morning.